it's New Year's Eve, and I thought what better time to do a review of 2022. Both my goals and what I achieved, cycling and otherwise, and also what we did on the channel, what the community did throughout the year. I thought it'd be a great idea to look back at some of the stuff that we've done throughout this year. In the first week of January, I always want to do a sort of a resolutions video of what my aims are for 2023. But I also want to know how you got on with your goals for 2022 and what you're setting your sights on for 2023. So in the comments of this video, let me know, how did you get on against your targets for this year and what are your plans for next year? And then I'll include them, like I did last year, on the video that comes out sort of the first week of January. So let me know in the comments below. How have I got on in 2022? It's been a bit of an up and down year, I can't lie. And as I was looking back, and the reason for doing these videos is that I can go back and document, it's a document of my journey. You can argue about how far along I've got on that journey, but I was looking back at some of the videos to sort of see what I've done this year. One thing that jumps out to me is just the struggles I've had mentally for different reasons. And it's something I've not really noticed in previous years or thought about. And I've just been a little bit up and down in places. And that's one thing that jumped out to me. The targets that I set myself this year were a couple of different things. One of them was to put more money away and try and, you know, be a bit more financially secure for the future. I did that most of the year up until the last couple of months. And I mentioned on the video at the time, it was one of the things that caused me to have a bit of a mental moment, is the interest rates going up and realising that our mortgage is going to shoot through the roof middle of next year. So I stopped putting money away. I needed to keep it back in, you know, to be able to pay extra money every month. So we started to rein things in a little bit as a family. And that was one of the things that affected, but I definitely did better than what I'd done in quite a few previous years. So that's a bit of a tick. Another one of the things that I wanted to do was weight loss. Now, I had a great start through the year, up until August time when I went away for my brother's wedding. And I'd lost about 2.5 stone by that point. I'm going to be honest, some of that has gone back on, and I don't know how much because I'm too scared to get back on the scales. I will do that at some point in the new year. I've definitely put a little bit of weight on. Who knows what that number is. And I guess I've been a little bit absent back in November and December. Struggled to get on the bike through time reasons and other things that I've talked about before, so I won't go through all that again. But, you know, for example, December, my only riding has been on the Saturday banded rides. I've struggled to fit in other times, in other races or rides, and boy, do I feel it. I feel that, I just feel tired. I don't have the energy that I had before, and I feel, you know, when I get on for those one ride a week now, I really struggle with that ride. So that's something that needs to be improved on next year. My kind of biggest cycling goal for the year was to beat 2021 in terms of kilometres and hours on the bike in each of the months of the year. That was kind of my big goal, because it just meant that I was stepping forward and stepping up more than what I'd achieved or did in the prior year. Now, I didn't come back to Zwift until middle of February 2021. So theoretically, I had a low base to try and beat in 2022. But let's take a look how I kind of got on throughout the year, look back at some of the videos that we've done, and sort of gauge how I did against that target. So let's have a look at January first. Now, there's nothing to tally against in January. January 2021, I did no cycling, no hours on the bike or anything, but I did put in a full 526 kilometers in January 2022, 18 hours on the bike. Quite pleased with that as a start to the year. As I said, there was nothing to beat in January. Some of the things that we did throughout the years, I bought some new cycling gear in preparation for going outside for the first time in many, many years, knowing that I'd signed up to do the London Ride 100, which unfortunately I didn't do. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I bought some new cycling gear from Fat Lad at the Back, which was awesome, awesome stuff. Really good to get some kit that actually fits larger people. We did a tour of Yorkshire as well, which was great fun. We raced all the routes in Yorkshire across January, February, and I think a bit of March as well. kind of the Yorkshire is not a flat route, a flat place. A lot of the races were very up and down, and that was a bit of a challenging one. And I also stepped in, that was the time where they do the Tour de Zwift as well, so I did quite a lot of the Tour de Zwift rides in January. On to February, 2021, I did 212 kilometres. I mentioned that I didn't come back, I think, until about mid-February 2021, so that's not a full month, but in February I stepped up to 603 kilometres, 22 hours on the bike, so another good month. I had a cracking FTP increase on a race on a Thursday night around London. I went from 245 watts to 267. Tour of Yorkshire continued. We had a brilliant T2.5 race on Tempest Fugit. That is a perfect course for racing when things kind of come together really, really close to the end point or the finish line. My camera skills weren't great, but there was a huge group sprint to the line, and you could have thrown a blanket over the first, I don't know, 20 odd riders. It was amazing. Really enjoyed that one. And we had the final stage of the Tour of Yorkshire. Petter won the B-Cat, Simon Greaves won the C-Cat, and G Fatbike won the D-Cat. On to March. March was a really, really good month, but also a really bad month. 404 kilometres to beat. I did 477. 20 hours versus 14 hours, so I achieved my target there. But I got the dreaded thing in March, back end of March, and it took me a long time to fully recover from that. I could get back on the bike, but to get any prolonged power efforts was a real struggle. Yeah, it took me a bit of a while to recover from it. We also tested the banded group rides function in clubs. So we got clubs at the back end of 2021 which we could set up our rides, but we can't do banded group rides. We tested it via the forums and it didn't work. And that was March 2022. That's the last I've heard of the banded function. They've talked about it in the forums. Whether it is coming to clubs or not so that we can do our Saturday rides on clubs, I do not know. Who knows? Who knows what Zwift plans are? They keep changing. I moved office. I moved from upstairs to downstairs. Just got myself into a slightly different space and all the fun that brought with it, and just being able to sort out where in this room that I actually wanted some of the kit to go, because yeah, it took me so long to sort that out. Two brilliant achievements though that I did find, did have in March. I had my first ride outside in years, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was only a few kilometres down the road, but the reason for that was I was testing my bike because we did the first ever T2.5 in real life meetup at Goodwood, and what a brilliant day that was. This was back end of March, middle of March, I think it's 17th. The sun was shining. We were riding around the Goodwood airfield, so we had Spitfires taking off and all sorts of other planes. Lots of stuff going on in the area, and it was a brilliant place to just cycle around with no traffic. Something I think I might look at doing again this year, because yeah, it was a brilliant day out, and it was great to meet some of the guys from the T2.5 community as well. On to April. Now this is when I was kind of recovering from the thing. And the first month where I kind of fall off a little bit. So in 2021 I did 439 kilometres. I did only 279 in 2022. Dropped down to 11 hours versus the 17 from the year before. I had a bit of a mental wobble, and I needed to take a break from lots of stuff. I had a lot of stuff going on. If you don't know, I'm an accountant in my day job. March and April are really busy times, and we were doing a lot of stuff at work. I was trying to keep up with videos and try and keep up the riding, and it just all got on top of me, and I just had to take a break from all those things that I didn't have to do, which meant Zwift took a bit of a hit, and I had to take a little bit of a break. I was also having Zwift cutout issues. When I moved down to this room, I was having Bluetooth cutouts, ANT dongle cutout, all sorts, trying to get my trainer to work and everything else at the same time, which just added to that problem. I did try RGT for the first time, I think this was before they were bought out by Woohoo. I gave that a go for the first time. Really quite impressed with that. The only, in my view at the time, the only downside was that you don't have the community that Zwift has. It needs a lot more people on it, but very, very good. And I also started on a low carb diet, and that's where I had most of my success in terms of weight loss through the year. Kind of didn't really struggle getting into it as well. And I feel it was quite successful. So yeah, good. Again, a kind of up and down month, April. More down probably than up. Into May, things picked up a little bit here. 492 kilometres against 474 from the year before. 18 hours versus 17. We started doing the RGT elimination races on a Sunday evening, which was so much fun. I really, really enjoy them. The only issue with those is that you need to have lots of riders to make it fun. I don't know what the right balance is, because 10 riders, if you have like 30, 40 riders, and the races get really, really long. But yeah, they were great fun. We stopped those because we just didn't have the numbers. Thought about bringing them back again in the winter, but we kind of started our tour of our world tour. So kind of, yeah, didn't really come back this year, but maybe they will at some point in the future. I tried these, the RGT Magic Roads as well. I was testing out the different things that RGT can do. This was a bit of a mixed success. Now, bearing in mind, this is back in May. They've probably done a lot of work on it since then, and I haven't looked at it again. So maybe it's something I should go back to. But it had sort of overlapping roads and all sorts going on that, yeah, it's not something you can easily plug a GPX file into and get the road layout that you want. Well, certainly wasn't at the time, but who knows what it's like now. I did an FTP ramp test as well. I quite like the FTP ramp test in Zwift. Yeah, enjoyed that one. Done it a few times since and before as well. So got another one under my belt at that point. Into June, what a month June was. Again, just about beat the prior year. 399 kilometres against 391. 14 hours versus 14 hours. Which kind of suggests I'm going a little bit quicker, although there's probably some rounding in the 14 hours. But the best thing in June is I got my first ever race win, and I absolutely loved it. I still remember it now, pushing up the hill, that hill in Mercury, deciding to go really, really early and then using the downhill to my advantage and getting to the line first. I was buzzing for days, weeks after that one. And I also looked at system for the first time and set up my training plan that I was going to use between June and August. I think it was a 6-week training plan. As part of that, the first part was to do the system half Monty, which is their sort of version of a ramp test, I guess. But really, really enjoyed that and got started with those workout programs that were great fun to do as an alternative to Zwift. So I really, really enjoyed those. We then hit July. Again, in terms of cycling, really, really good. 492 kilometres versus 431 from July. 19 hours versus 15. Workouts continued. I was really enjoying them. I thought they were really, really good. I did one specific workout that had 64 sprints in it. I had a lot of comments in that video saying that it was a rubbish workout to do. I don't know, I'm not a workout expert. I'm just going to do what Zwift or system tell me to do. But that was one painful workout. But I also enjoyed the other workouts that are part of it as well. I like the videos that you get to watch on the slower ride and the music that they give you. It's a very different alternative to Zwift. And something I might look at picking up in the early part of 2023 as well. July also had a bit of bad news, and this went on for a few weeks just because of the visits to the hospital. But unfortunately, we did have a miscarriage that kind of knocked me a little bit. But I managed to keep going. Yeah, I guess that's all I've got to say about that, really. That happened in July. On to August. August. This is the month of my brother's wedding in Crete. And you can see I kind of having a bit of a wobble here. 147 kilometres, 601 the year before. And I don't know whether you remember, 2021, I set you guys a target to give me to achieve in August, and that was to do 600 kilometers, which I did do, 601. So I had myself a big task already, considering I was going to be away for 10 days? Wasn't quite 2 weeks. So it was going to be a tall order to beat August anyway. On the back of the miscarriage and other things, yeah, it was a bit of a write-off month. One of those workouts that I did was pedal stroke drills, which I've never done before. I don't think I've actually done since. But that was slowing the pedal stroke right down, focusing on different areas of the pedal stroke, and, you know, training that area instead, which was very, very new to me. I also, before I went away, I completed the training plan, and I did do the full frontal, full DP test on system. Unfortunately, I had planned when I got back to put that video out, but somehow I lost the footage, and I'm absolutely gutted because I did do it. The one thing I do know is that test came out very, very similar to the FTP test, the ramp test that I'd done before. Now, I think the ramp tests slightly overestimate FTPs, especially in my case. And I feel that probably if I'd done another ramp test at the same time, the ramp test would come out higher, because I definitely felt stronger on the bike, and I felt I could put out a lot more prolonged effort, and the endurance was a lot better. But the 4DP test itself came out as the same as the FTP tests, the ramp tests from before. And I'm sure I'll do it again in the future. I don't think I'll rush to do it again, because it's one of the most painful workouts, or you really have to be mentally prepared to do that one. But I did get that one done. Unfortunately, I can't show it to you guys. Into September, quite a low bar in September to beat, 163 kilometers. I did 311, 11 hours on the bike. We did a group FTP test, first one we've ever done as a group, which was great fun. I think I dropped out about midway through. Really, really enjoyed it. It's a very different experience doing an FTP test as part of a group, but really enjoyed that. And we also announced the upcoming World Tour as well. Into October, we started the World Tour, but I missed my target by quite a way here. 438 kilometers the year before. I did 219. As I said, we started the World Tour. I finished third in another race on the LaGuardia Loop. I could get to say that. I can still remember that race. That was painful all the way around, trying to just stay in with that group. I don't know how I hung on. And then to have the effort at the end to sprint towards the end, I was so chuffed to get third place. I also hit my 1,100 watts and 1.21 gigawatts badges. Incredible to get those. I did those in a group ride on I think it was a Tuesday trundle. That was amazing to get those ones done as well. Shows that I was getting stronger. And then the best thing, I think one of my highlights for the year, I got to go and see the Green Bay Packers play in London, the last team to come over, the one team that hadn't been previously. Unfortunately, we lost, and it was kind of a precursor to the next few weeks, unfortunately, because we've not done great this year. But it was so good to get to go and watch them. Aaron Rodgers played, you know, all the good players. It was an awesome, awesome day out. Into November, 338 to beat. I did 399, 14 hours versus 12. The World Tour continued, lots of World Tour races every other week. Continued with that, and Urikazi was released for the first time on Zwift, and I really like that. I still to this day haven't done a lot of the routes. Really want to, but we went and did a couple of group rides on there to see what it was like, and I think it just adds that nice new dynamic to Zwift, which is really good. First new roads in, was it a year? I think it was. Great to have those. Then let's talk about December. 137 kilometers, 5 hours. Not a lot has happened in December. I've moved my setup, as you saw. I wasn't happy with the way it was. I have since moved it again. It's just, I get caught up doing these silly things that when I'm not happy with things, I move things around. And the World Tour has continued, but I have found December a bit of a struggle. when I say a struggle, a lot of it has been time. We've had so much going on with school in the lead up to Christmas, with fetes or fairs and pantomimes and just so much Christmas stuff, as I'm sure everybody has. Trying to find time to get on the bike has been really quite difficult. I seem to every Thursday night have something happening, having to go to the school for a choir thing or the Christmas party. So I've missed loads of races. Work has been busy. I don't know. I can't explain it. So it's just another stuff going on as well. Having a bit of a wobble. Not a great month. In all, though, most of those months I beat last year. So I'm happy with that. And actually up until sort of October time, I was feeling a lot stronger on the bike. I'm definitely not right now. That is for sure. But overall, if you take January comparison out, because I didn't do any January rides in 2021, I didn't actually beat last year because of the couple of months where I really wasn't on the bike a lot. And the other months I beat my target, but those couple of months, April and December, really didn't help me. So how do I feel? I guess like the whole year has been up and down. Weird. It's been one of those years. I didn't look back on 2021 when I got to the end of the year. I'm really glad I have this year because it's kind of put a lot of things into perspective and reminded me of the things that have happened throughout this year. So let's see what 2023 brings. I'll set some targets. I'll talk about them in the next video. I've loved this year. I feel that we've done some really fun things as a community. Lots of people have stepped up categories this year, from D's to C's and C's to B's, which is incredible to see. It's awesome to see everyone else progressing. Maybe one day I'll be one of those guys that can step up as well. Big achievements happening, people doing massive rides. It's just, yeah, the community. I love the T2.5 community, and I want to say a massive thank you. It's a bit late to say this, but Merry Christmas to everybody as well. And I hope everyone has a wonderful 2023, and hopefully we can all achieve our aims in 2023. In terms of aims, goals for next year, as I said, I'll be doing a video for that probably the first week in January. So get your suggestions and your thoughts for what you have achieved in 2022 and what you want to achieve in 2023 in the comments below, and I'll put it in that video. But that is the end of this video. What a year it has been. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more stable next year. I guess we'll find out. But thank you for watching. If you had enjoyed it, do hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.